Hi Yogi, and welcome to another slow flow practice with me, Oceana. In this particular class, we are really focusing on allowing the breath to take us into our postures as well as to bring us out of them again. And for some of you, this is going to be how you always move through your yoga practice. For others, this might be very challenging and very unfamiliar territory. And for that reason, I've really kept this sequence quite straightforward. So we'll be moving through a little bit of a warm up, and then we are actually just moving through 3 different sun salutations for 9 rounds in total. And 9, if you know a little bit about Eastern philosophy, then you know that it's quite an auspicious number. It is usually considered the number of completion, and the sort of almost the number of coming full circle. Now, I should also say that as I'm guiding you through this practice, my way of breathing could be a little bit faster or a little bit slower than you. So do adjust yourself slightly as soon as you get the hang of the salutation. Allow yourself to go at your own pace. Make this practice really as individual to yourself as you can. I should also say that really you can do this with your natural breath cycle, but ideally you would have already mastered your Ujjayi breath before you get here. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to link a video here for you so that you can have a look at that and hopefully get the hang of it before you dive into this. Really, throughout this class, I'm mostly focusing on cueing and giving you lots of detail about how the breath works in each of these postures. So I'm not really going to talk about alignment as much as I normally would do. And that's why also I've picked some very simple postures so that hopefully you kind of vaguely know where you're going and you have a little bit of muscle memory. A few tips before you begin: really see if you can allow the breath to come maybe just a millisecond before you start moving. So let the breath happen, then begin to move from that breath. The breath initiates all the movements here. And really, really intently listen to your breath. So if you're practicing with your Ujjayi Pranayama, that's a really good measure of whether you're going too fast, whether it's too strenuous or not. If you lose your Ujjayi, pause the video, take a moment, gather your breath, then come back to it. It's a very advanced technique, so you do need to begin to hold yourself accountable so that you gradually are able to master that technique. And eventually it will flow throughout even the most challenging postures, but you really have to be focused. And in terms of props, there's nothing you particularly need, but as I often say, if you don't have a yoga mat that you can roll up at the end of our practice when we come to our seated postures, then you'll want to just grab a book. If you have a yoga brick, great. Maybe you could have some blankets or pillows nearby, and we will be starting in a kneeling position. So when you're ready, join me there, Yogi. From a kneeling position, make your way into child's pose. So take the knees as wide as is comfortable. Either walk the hands forward in front of you or stack them underneath the forehead here, just for the first few moments as we settle into practice. Have a moment to shimmy the hips and really nestle the belly between the thighs. And take a moment to really explore the movement of the breath. Establish a baseline reading of the breath here at the beginning. So let the inhale flow through the nostrils into the lungs. Notice the first point to respond to the inhale, the first part to expand. And notice the first part that moves away as you exhale. Give yourself a few moments to really establish the quality of your breathing. To notice the ratio of inhale to exhale, whether that's perfectly equal or slightly off balance. Notice the pauses between each breath, the strength of the inhale compared to the exhale. And notice whether any of those qualities that you've noticed are any different than they normally would be wherever this is the exact status quo that you normally find your breath in. When you're ready, if the hands are underneath the forehead, plant them in front of you. Walk the hands over towards the left edge of the mat. Bring the right hand on top of the left and really press from the bottom hand to ground your right sitting bone towards the heel. Take a moment to breathe equally into both ribs here. On the inhale, walk the hands all the way across to the opposite side, left hand on top of the right. Press your left sitting bone back. Expand the left side of the waist. Find that gentle stretch. Slowly walk the hands back through center and come all the way into a kneeling position to bring the knees together so that we can find our Ujjayi breath before we begin. So let the hands lightly rest on top of your thighs. Stack your pelvic floor, your solar plexus diaphragm and the throat on top of one another. Lengthen the spine up towards the ceiling, but soften the shoulders down the back. And begin to restrict the throat by contracting the muscles around it, creating that soft sound of the inhale pulling in and the exhale pushing out against the resistance of the throat. That sound that is almost akin to the waves rolling in and out of the ocean. Gradually allow the breath to become longer, smoother, softer. Find the samavriti of the breath, so that equanimous quality of the inhale matching the exhale in length, as well as strength. So that might mean pushing a little bit more at the end of each exhale where the breath begins to trail off, and pulling a little bit more firmly the breath in at the end of the inhalation, where again there's a little bit more of a trailing off, a softening of the breath. And consider setting yourself the intention, the goal to really listen to your breath throughout this practice. So maintaining this equanimous breath throughout. And really, as the breath becomes more tense or shorter, losing this quality that it has now, that you take rest, that you gather your breath in, set yourself that goal, that intention here. To really allow the breath to guide you into and out of each pose, to lead the way with the breath. And then slowly from here, slide the hands all the way forward to the front of your mat so that you can tuck under the toes. On the exhale, slowly draw your sitting bones back towards the heels, really pressing from the hands to release the last bit of breath from the belly. Let the inhale begin to pull the belly away from the thighs, lifting the spine up towards the ceiling into cat pose. Adjust your knees back if you need to release the hips forward and down onto the floor. Slowly keeping the shoulders lifted, the elbows pulling back as you inhale. Contract the muscles in the back of the body and float the feet into Locust Pose. Find a little bit more lift as you inhale here. As you exhale, let the chest sink down, tuck under the toes, really ground into the floor. And press into your hands. Pull the sitting bones up to find cow pose, arched position of the spine here. And exhale, press the sitting bones back into that active child's pose, squeezing the air out. Inhale, let the belly fill, let the chest float up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, unfurl the spine forward like a fern leaf, unraveling the chest. Roll the shoulders back as you inhale to contract the back of the body and find Locust Pose. Exhale to come down, tuck under the toes and ground yourself. Sink into the floor as you inhale, let the breath lift you up. Arch the spine, think about the chest drawing forward. As the sitting bones pull back, you exhale into active child's pose. Inhale begins to fill the belly, lifting the spine up, floating the shoulders on top of the wrist. The hips come forward and down, the spine unfurls as you exhale to release down. On the inhale, lightly pressing into the hands to contract the back body muscles, lifting the shoulders back. On the exhale, releasing, sinking into the floor, toes tuck under. Have a sense that someone's pulling you back from the hips. As you inhale to push the floor away, the breath lifts you up. As you exhale, sinking the hands into the floor and pressing the sitting bones back to release the air from the belly. Let the inhale travel into the belly to lift you back up. Cat pose. As you exhale, unravel the spine all the way forward and down. Float the feet off the ground as the inhale gives you the lift to find Locust Pose, Shalabhasana. And the exhale softens the belly, the chest all the way down as the toes tuck under. Ground into the floor, root yourself down and pull the sitting bones up as you inhale. Use the lift of the breath to pull yourself into tabletop. And exhale all the way back into that active child's pose. We'll find that movement one more time, focusing a little bit more on the length of our own breath here, really traveling as fast or as slow as we need to. When you arrive back in that active child's pose here, take an inhale, fill the belly with air. On your next exhale, peel the knees centimetre by centimetre off the floor to find downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. That gentle pull of the belly back towards the spine, giving you the lift you need to reach the sitting bones high. And then gently look forward between the hands. Step your right foot towards the right hand, the left foot towards the left hand. Gentle bend in the knees. Let the head hang and give yourself a little bit of a sway from side to side. Releasing the spine towards the floor. And then maybe resting in the center, swap the arm that's on top. Have a little nod of the head, yes. A little shake of the head, no, to release the tension in the neck. Maybe painting a few circles in each direction with the head. Slowly on the next inhale, let the breath begin to travel down to the belly. And almost as if the lungs were a hot air balloon, let that breath continue to fill your torso with air, pulling you up towards the sky above, unraveling and unfurling the spine vertebra by vertebra until you finally arrive in mountain pose Talasana. From there, step the feet gently underneath the hips. Take a moment to really arrive and settle into your breath here in this standing position. Find a focal point. And then have a sense that as you exhale, the four corners of the feet are really rooting down below the surface of the earth, grounding you. And as you inhale, there's energy drawing up as you rebound through the floor, lifting a little bit taller through the crown of the head. Really feel that movement, almost a sense of pulsating energy at the soles of your feet, moving with every single breath. On your next inhale, draw up through the legs, let the belly fill with air, and as the ribs begin to move sideways, let that movement expand into the arms, lifting them out and over your head. On the exhale, let the belly begin to empty as you take the hands through center line in prayer position, folding forward, hinging from the hips. At the bottom of that movement, once you're folded in, have a sense that you're squeezing the torso towards the belly to really release the final bit of air from the lungs. As you inhale, float the hands on top of the shins. Let the belly fill with air, let the chest lift away from the thighs, reach the crown of the head forward in halfway lift. As you exhale, let the belly begin to empty. Slowly from there, follow the movement all the way back down as you fold into the legs. With a soft bend in the knees, again, let the inhale arrive first and let that pull you up into a standing position with a straight spine, reaching the arms up towards the sky. As you exhale, palms touch. Let the heels of the hands rest on top of your chest. So there's a slight dropping of the shoulders and chest towards the floor. Again, a little bit of a push of the air out of the lungs here at the end. On the inhale, release the hands down by the sides of the hips. Let the breath arrive in the rib cage to lift the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hinge forward, take the hands down through prayer position in the center line as you fold back down. Let the inhale pull the belly, the chest, the ribs away from the thighs. Exhale takes you back towards the legs, really squeezing the air out at the end of that movement. With soft knees, take the arms out and over your head, rise up with the breath. Lengthen at the top of that movement. And exhale, bring the hands back to the chest. That downward movement of the exhalation, emphasized by the movement of the hands. Last round here of our sun breaths. As you inhale, let the ribs lift the arms over your head. As you exhale, let the belly empty, start to hinge forward with a straight spine from the hips. Let the inhale travel down to the belly, floating the chest forward and up to a straight spine. Let the exhale begin before you start to fold back into the legs. With soft knees, let the inhale begin to lift you away from the legs, reaching the arms out and over your head. And exhale to bring the breath back down towards the earth. Heels of the hands in front of the chest. And this is where we move into 3 rounds of Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. Let the hands release down by the sides of the hips. Spin the palms out. Let the rib cage again float the arms away from the torso and all the way over your head. This time as you exhale, swan dive all the way down to the legs. Let the arms release. Let the head hang, squeezing out that last bit of breath. On the inhale, plant the hands on top of the shins. Let the breath travel all the way down to the belly to lift and pull the chest away from the thighs, reaching the crown of the head forward, lifting the spine halfway. As you exhale, plant the hands underneath the shoulders. Step your left foot all the way back. Take a moment to hover in that runner's lunge. On the next inhale, plant the hands down and step the front foot back into high plank. Gently lower the knees where they are. Looking forward, let the chest travel forward as you exhale for a modified chaturanga, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, the hips pressing into the ground. Let the inhale travel down to the belly to lift you off the ground, reaching the chest forward, drawing the elbows and shoulders back. for Bhujangasana Cobra Pose. Let the exhale soften you back towards the floor beneath you, tucking under the toes as you inhale. Press into the hands to reach your sitting bones back into tabletop, tucking under the toes as you exhale. Let that gentle pulling in of the abdominal muscles draw you back into downward facing dog. The knees can be very generously bent here. Take a moment to gather the breath. Return to your Ujjayi Pranayama if it's gotten away from you. And as you exhale, lift the right leg up and back, point the toes. Let that movement take exactly as long as your inhale takes. As you exhale, let the belly empty and bring the right knee forward in towards the chest for Tiger's Curl. Step or shimmy the foot lightly towards the front of the mat. Hover for a moment in that runner's lunge, lifting the chest forward. On an inhale, step the back foot to the front into your halfway lift. The hands can be on top of the shins or the floor. And as the breath releases from the belly, slowly begin to follow it all the way down towards the floor, releasing the crown of the head towards the ground. With soft knees, let the inhalation begin to arrive. Let the torso lift you off your thighs and reach the fingertips all the way towards the sky above. As you exhale, take the hands down to the center of the chest. Heels of the hands rest lightly. Next inhale, again, let the arms float down as the breath arrives in the belly. As the ribs expand, they lift the arms over your head. On the exhale, swan dive down towards your feet. Inhale to lengthen the spine halfway as the belly begins to fill with air, the chest floats away. On the exhale, plant the hands down, step your right foot to the back of the mat. Hover for a moment in that runner's lunge, open the front of the chest. On your next inhale, plant the hands down, step the front foot back into high plank. Let that inhale give you the lift to push away from the floor. Let the exhale slowly lower the knees and chest all the way down. Grounded through the exhalation, press the tops of the feet and the hips down, roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest as you inhale to fill the belly with air and press the floor away. As you exhale, sink back into the floor. Find your grounding as you tuck under the toes. Inhale, lift up with the breath to find tabletop. And exhale your way back to downward facing dog, lifting the sitting bones up and back with that lifting sensation of the exhale, releasing away from the abdominal muscles. Take a moment to gather your breath here. Let the breath settle into the pose. Let the pose be informed by the movement of the breath. And bend the knees generously. Look between the hands. On the inhale, lift your left leg up and back. And let that movement take the same length as your inhale. On the exhale, bring the left knee forward in towards the chest. Step or shimmy the foot towards the front. Look ahead and pause in your runner's lunge. On an inhale, step the back foot forward to arrive with that straight spine, the lift of the chest. Let the exhale soften you back towards the floor. Let the inhale begin to draw the belly away, lifting the chest, taking the arms out and over your head into your upward salute, Urdhva Hastasana. Let the exhale bring the hands together. Heels begin to lightly rest on top of the chest, almost as if they were going to press the air down and away from the lungs. The inhale releases the hands down. The palms spin out as we reach the arms over the head. Allowing the inhale to float the chest a little bit higher this time. As you exhale, swan diving down, releasing belly towards the thighs. Let the inhale float the chest away from the earth, reaching crown of the head towards the horizon line. As you exhale, planting the hands underneath the shoulders to step your left foot back into a runner's lunge, pausing just for a moment to receive the breath. On your next inhale, plant the hands down to step the front foot back into high plank position, the breath giving you the lift to push the floor away. On the exhale, lowering the knees down gently, looking ahead to softly take as long as your breath to release all the way down, pressing into the floor with the lower body, floating the chest up with the inhale, finding that lift of Cobra Pose. Allowing the exhale to soften you back down as you tuck the toes under, finding a little bit of grounding, and again pulling up from the sitting bones, arching the spine, and exhaling, that gentle pulling back of the belly, taking you into downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Stepping the big toes together at the back, the inhale slowly sweeps the right leg up and back. Careful of your plant friends. On the exhale, taking the right knee forward towards the chest into tiger's curl. Moving with the breath to lightly step or shimmy the foot forward. Pause to receive a breath in runner's lunge. On the exhale, step the back foot forward. Lengthen the spine halfway to really arrive, and exhale, fold back in, soften the belly down, squeeze the air out. With soft knees as you inhale, let the belly, chest and ribs float away from the thighs, gradually taking the arms with them and lifting the fingertips up and over your head, reaching for the sky above. As you exhale, palms touch, bringing the heels of the hands down to the center of the chest, allowing the heels and shoulders to really press down and release the last bit of air from the lungs. A little bit different here, we slowly come into Surya Namaskar B, Sun Salutation B, so really give yourself a moment here to arrive in Samastiti, equal standing pose. So equal weight in both feet. Let your Ujjayi breath settle. On the next inhale, a little bit different here. Deep bend in the knees as you release the arms, sweep them up and overhead to find Katasana, chair pose. Pinky fingers spinning, shoulders are soft. As you exhale, swan dive back into the legs. Gently let the belly expand, let the chest lift. Let the front of the body open into Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift as the crown of the head reaches forward. As you exhale, plant the hands down. Step your right foot to the back of the mat and take a breath in that runner's lunge to open the front of the body and look forward. On your next inhale, step the front foot to the back to find a high plank position. Either lower down via the knees or in one straight line for Chaturanga Dandasana. As you exhale, belly pulls in. As you inhale, find the back bend of your choice. Let the breath lift the chest. Maybe keep the thighs lifted in your upward facing dog. Let the exhale pull the belly in towards the spine and give you that gentle lift into downward facing dog rather. Gather the breath for a moment here. In downward dog, again a little bit different, step the big toes together. Let the inhale expand the belly, and from that lift, reach the right big toe up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, again empty the belly to bring the knee forward into the chest. Hover it above the floor and then step or shimmy the foot to the front. Spin the back heel down. Let the inhale arrive in the belly and float the chest off the thigh, reaching the fingertips up high to arrive in
Warrior One, maybe looking up, pressing into the back foot. Take a moment to settle in here. On the exhale, taking the hands down through center line, all the way to frame the front foot. Tuck under the back toes and inhale, step the front foot back into a high plank position. Exhale to lower down halfway, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to find the back bend of your choice, Cobra Pose or Upward Dog. Let the exhale pull you back into Downward Facing Dog. We'll meet there, taking a few moments to breathe, to gather the breath in and come back to our Ujjayi Pranayama. Take a moment to breathe and regather your Ujjayi breath. Let the big toes touch when you're ready. Let the inhale begin to arrive in the belly, pulling and lifting the left leg up and back for the second side. As you exhale, empty the belly, squeeze the left knee forward into the chest. Create that space to step or land the foot lightly, maybe shimmy it there. Spin the back heel down. Let the inhale pull the belly and chest forward as you lift the arms, pressing into the feet in Warrior One. On the exhale, taking the hands down through center, folding forward to frame the front foot, tucking under the back toes. On an inhale, press the hands down underneath the shoulders to step your front foot back into a high plank position. Lower halfway down, either via the knees or one straight line. As you inhale, find the back bend. Feel that openness of the chest as you breathe in, expanding the upper back. Let the exhale pull your sitting bones up and back to find your way into Downward Dog. Soften the knees and look between the hands here. As you exhale, walk, step or jump the feet towards the hands. Lift your spine halfway as you arrive. And as the exhale trickles out of the belly, fold back in. Generous bend in the knees as you inhale. Let the belly, the chest, the ribs float away. Let the fingertips reach towards the sky above, finding Katasana, chair pose. As you exhale, press down through the legs and swim your way back to Samastitihi, equal standing pose. For a moment, find that equal balance through the feet. Equalize your inhale and exhale. Think about both the inhale and exhale being equal in duration as well as strength. So give a little bit more emphasis to the end of each breath. On your next inhale, deeply bend the knees, find your way back into that invisible chair to sink the hips back and down. On the exhale, float all the way into the legs. Inhale to let the belly and chest float away from the thighs. On the exhale, plant the hands down, walk, step or jump the feet back into Chaturanga with the arms bent. Inhale to find your way into the back bend of your choice, Cobra Pose or Upward Dog. As you exhale, make your way back into Downward Facing Dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Step the big toes together at the back. On the inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Let the breath float the foot up. As you exhale, let the belly empty to bring the right knee forward into the chest. Hover and step or shimmy the foot forward as you spin the back heel down. Cartwheel the arms, let the inhale float you up into Warrior Two. Settle in just for a moment. Let the front of the body soften back towards the spine. Let yourself look over your front ring finger and lengthen the knuckles away. On the next exhale, cartwheel the arms to frame the front foot. Step the front foot all the way back as you inhale into high plank. Lower down via the knees or one straight line for chaturanga. Let the inhale take you back into the back bend of your choice. And the exhale takes you back either via the knees or one straight line to downward facing dog. Step the big toes together at the back. On the inhale, lift your left leg up and back, point the toes for three-legged dog. As you exhale, bring the knee forward into the chest. Empty the belly and softly land or step the foot forward as the back heel spins down. Cartwheel the arms to lift up as you inhale into warrior two on the second side. Find the pose, let the breath settle. And explore the sensations of the breath within that pose for a moment. Exhale, cartwheel the arms. Frame your front foot. Inhale, step it back, high plank. Lower down halfway, chaturanga as you exhale. Inhale to float the chest and find the back bend of your choice. Exhale to pull back. On an empty belly, finding downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Soften the knees, look between the hands. On your next exhale, lightly walk, step or jump the feet towards the hands. Lengthen the spine halfway as you inhale. And on the exhale, release down, release the breath. Separate the feet hip distance if they aren't already. Deep bend in the knees, let the inhale float the chest and fingertips towards the sky to find chair pose. Let the exhale softly release the arms down as the legs straighten to find Samastitihi for a few rounds of breath here. Again, finding our equilibrium, finding our way back to homeostasis, our most natural state of being, and possibly reaffirming our Ujjayi breath. On the next inhale, deeply bend the knees, lift the arms, find your way back to Katasana, chair pose. On the exhale, allow yourself to swan dive forward, releasing to the earth. Let the chest float away from the legs as you inhale, expand the front of the body. Next exhalation, planting the hands down, looking between the hands to either walk, step or jump the feet into chaturanga as you exhale. Hovering just for a moment until the inhale lifts the front of the body, maybe keeping the thighs lifted in upward dog or the knees on the ground in cobra. Let the exhale pull you back either via the knees or in one straight line to find downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Press into the hands to keep the back of the body long. Find a moment to gather the breath. Step the big toes together at the back as you inhale. Let the right leg slowly float off the floor and take the entire time of your inhalation for that leg to lift as high as it can into three-legged dog. As you exhale, take the entire length of your exhalation to bring the right knee forward into the chest, to step the foot halfway up the yoga mat, so halfway between the hands and the back foot. Pull the center of your chest forward as you inhale, maybe floating the back leg off the ground. Let the exhale happen. Maybe on your next inhale, making the fingertips light and floating the hands either side of your hips into full warrior three, Virabhadrasana 3. Plant the hands back down, step your left foot to the back of the mat. Inhale to step the right foot back into high plank. Exhale to lower down, chaturanga. Inhale to find the back bend of your choice. Feel the lifting of the upper body. Exhale to make your way back into downward facing dog. Finding a few moments to breathe here, to catch the breath, to find and reconnect with your Ujjayi. When you're ready, stepping the big toes together at the back. Let the inhale lift the left leg up and back for the full length of the breath. Let the exhale bring the left knee forward into the chest, stepping the foot halfway up the mat. Slowly peeling the chest forward as you inhale to shift your weight into the left leg and begin to float the right foot off the ground. Maybe eventually on your next inhale, lifting the arms to find Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3 on the second side. Slowly lower the hands underneath the shoulders. Step the right foot back. As you inhale, find a high plank. Exhale to lower down halfway. Inhale into the back bend. Feel that ballooning sensation of the inhale in the chest. On the exhale, find your way back either via the knees or one straight line into downward facing dog. Next exhale, soften the knees, look between the hands, walk, step or jump the feet towards the hands. Let the spine lengthen halfway as you inhale. Let the belly empty and draw the belly and chest towards the thighs, folding in, releasing the breath. On your next inhale, deeply bend the knees to lift the belly, the chest, the arms, finding chair pose or Katasana. And a little bit different here, slowly begin to sink the hips a little bit lower. You can always lift your heels and of course reach your hands forward for support and to counterbalance. Gradually making your way onto your sitting bones here, more or less gracefully. It doesn't have to be the most graceful thing. We'll start with the right leg reaching forward, left knee bent in towards the chest. You could keep the leg here if you prefer, or plant the left foot to the outside of the thigh instead. Again, option two is to keep the legs as they are now. Option 3 is to reach your front foot, so your right heel, towards the opposite sitting bone by bending the knee. Left hand as you inhale reaches towards the space behind you. Exhale to lean back and inhale, lift the right fingertips all the way up and back. Expand the right side of the waist. Exhale to hook the elbow across the thigh. You can bring your index finger and thumb to touch here. You can keep the left hand there for support. And working with the movement of the breath as you inhale, feel yourself growing a little bit taller from the sitting bones all the way through the crown of the head. The whole length of the spine works to move a little bit closer towards the sky above. And as you exhale, maybe the center of the chest spins a little bit more to the left. Some of you might even like to look over your back shoulder or close the eyes and really focus on the sensations of the spine, the way those sensations are constantly changing as you breathe here for your last few moments. Let the next inhale pull you forward and all the way across towards the right side of the mat. As you exhale, bow down, de-rotate the spine in the opposite direction, and inhale, come back up. Now, option 1 is to simply swap the leg that's on top, exactly where you are. If you want to be a little bit fancy about this, we're going to walk ourselves 360 degrees all the way to the right, turning, keeping the feet as much as they can be in the same position, and we should end up basically on the second side here. So this time the right leg is on top and the left foot is towards the sitting bone. We're going to reach up through the right fingertips and spin that hand behind us as we inhale. On the exhale, really reaching left hand back and hooking the elbow across the thigh to find our version of that twist on the second side. Maybe again bringing index finger and thumb to touch. Maybe as you inhale, growing a little bit taller. Maybe closing the eyes, or as you exhale and twist, looking over your back shoulder. Allowing the twist to constantly evolve with the movement of your breath. Not forcing yourself to stay anywhere against the will of your breathing, against the movement of your breathing, but really going with the flow. Let the next inhale pull you all the way forward. Plant both hands to the left side as you exhale, bow down, de-rotate the spine. Inhale, lift yourself all the way back up and bring the legs in front of you. Both knees are generously bent, and similar to our standing forward folds, we're going to bend the knees and bring the belly all the way on top of the thighs. We can grab hold of the outer edges of the feet here. And slowly here, as you inhale, pull the chest a little bit further towards your big toes. As you exhale, press the belly down so the thighs begin to straighten. And you might do that a few more times as you inhale, reaching the chest forward, lifting up. As you exhale, pushing down, softening towards the floor beneath you. Continue to work with the breath here for the last few moments, really emphasizing and expressing the movement of the breath. Gradually making that movement smaller and smaller until only you can feel the movement internally as the breath lifts and softens the body with each wave of the breath. Slowly, as you inhale, let the belly fill and pull you upright. And slowly from there, you can shimmy your sitting bones forward and roll all the way onto your backside here. Finding just a brief moment in Shavasana. We won't be here for too long, but let the hands gently rest on top of the belly. Give yourself a moment to take a final reading of the breath here at the end. So notice any tension that you're still holding on to in the body or breath. Think about how you would describe the quality of the breath now, here at the end. What is the relationship between the inhalation and exhalation? How has that Ujjayi based practice shifted your natural breath? And then check in with yourself for a moment. Notice the state of your mind and emotions and physical body. Just take a moment to have a few bullet points that really are standing out to you right now about the way you're feeling, the way that your body is feeling. Slowly reach your right arm up and over your head. Bend the knees and roll over to the right side. Use the left arm to support yourself there and gradually press your way up to a comfortable seated position. Take a moment to bring the palms to touch in front of your chest and bow the forehead towards the fingertips. Use this final moment of practice to plant your sankalpa, your good intention for maybe just today, maybe this week, or send it to somebody else who needs it more than you do. The light in me recognizes the light in you. Namaste, yogi, and thank you so much for joining me in today's practice. As always, if you enjoyed the class, do give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course if you have any feedback, comments, suggestions, etc., please pop me a comment down below. I'm always so thrilled to hear from all of you, and of course if you want to find me anywhere else in the meantime, that information is in the video description. I've left you all my social media links there, and I hope to see you back on your yoga mat very soon for practice with me. Bye.